Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us tonight for a very special evening. We are the Hoopers, John W.
Fresh X.
And this is the Honorary First Year Hoopers Award. And we have a couple special guests tonight. Nick Andre up top. How you doing tonight, Nick?
What's good, y'all? Happy to be a part of the show.
Man, appreciate you for being here. We got Off the Ball president and official podcast GOAT, Chris Lebron.
I appreciate y'all. Happy to be on.
Definitely. We got the OG in the house, Zach Ramsey from Off the Glass and 256 Media member. How you doing tonight, man?
Man, I'm doing great. Thanks for having me. And you know my motto, fan of no team, but a lover of basketball. Glad to be in the building with you guys.
Appreciate you. And we got our brother from across town, Jelani from What the Game Means to Me. How you doing tonight, man?
Good. Appreciate you guys for having me on. So just looking forward to talking hoops and always glad to be on, great panelists of other guys that know the game.
Definitely. So, of course, we're all here because the end of the season is Sunday, May 16th, and we just want to recognize players who had great seasons because this was a great season despite some of the challenges of COVID, some late injuries. And to start off, you want to get started tonight?
Yeah. Before we even get into the awards we want to talk about, I want to start with everybody and see what kind of stood out to you this season. What was just a point this year that is gonna stick with you? We'll start with you, Zach.
For me, it was just I can only imagine how the players felt, but just trying to get a feel of the season, the ups and downs because of COVID and the protocol and guys missing time, not being able to practice. Like, again, just as somebody watching the game, somebody that played the game, I just noticed all these things. So for me, because I like to try to do different content, I don't want to just do same storylines. It was kind of hard to try to find that rhythm just as a content producer. So I can only imagine what the players, the staff, all the way down to the trainers, the front office, what everybody went through with this season because it was so up and down. But like you said, we still had some really, really good, memorable performances and some really good, memorable basketball.
Right, for sure. I agree with that. Just being able to be prepared when you really don't know what's going to happen day in and day out, who's going to be available.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's tough. What about you, Nick? What kind of what's going to stick out to you about this season once you look back on it?
Honestly, I'm on the same page as Zach. Honestly, man, like just having to play throughout this whole pandemic. We've seen a lot of guys going in and out due to COVID issues. Teams having to have different lineups, having to use different guys in the lineup. I mean, honestly, it was just really difficult season. But for us to even have a season for the NBA to even push these 72 games is just remarkable. So I definitely applaud Adam Silver for definitely coming into the season with a plan and sticking to it.
Yeah, sure. Definitely agree with that. It's just tough this year. It was a little weirder than any other year. How about you, Chris?
Yeah. Hold on one second. Just the fact that we had a season, to me, is tremendous. Like the fact that we would be able to get through the whole season, that was my biggest worry, is are we even going to get through a season? So the fact that we got through it and we almost head to the playoffs, man, that's the biggest thing. So I'm just happy that the NBA, they did it in the bubble and they were able to do the best they can during the season. So to me, that was the biggest thing, that we were able to get through a season pretty much clean.
Right, yeah, and there was a lot of different things that popped out. We had a lot of weird COVID cases, so sometimes it seemed like were we gonna make it throughout the season? So, what you think, Jelani?
Kind of the same thing. I don't, want to be boring, but I agree with everybody. It's pretty much just not even know if we're gonna have a season. I remember the beginning of the season start off really, really rocky. With the different COVID cases and such. The injuries, of course, has been a part of the game that a lot of us. Yeah. Haven't liked to see just because of the shortened season, the back-to-backs, the low management and all of that type stuff. It's it sucks overall because certain teams now going into the playoffs, we won't see them at full strength. Denver Nuggets, Celtics possibly, never, still kind of on the edge. Don't know if they're gonna be there or not, but pretty much just that in sense. But like everyone else is saying, it's congrats to the NBA for even getting through it all in as a whole, because it's been times, like you said, we didn't know it was gonna happen. But I guess the last thing also too, like certain guys and certain teams, basically, I guess showing like, they haven't lost the stuff. I know early in the season, I know I watched a lot of Zach stuff, kind of giving Russell Westbrook his flowers. In the beginning of the season, everybody was trashing him, saying he's washed, here's this and that. But, turn around, he's now the triple-double king. him and Bradley Beal have, gotten the Wizards back into the play-in tournament at the very least. So certain guys that we thought like may not have it no more, obviously they're still great talents in the league. So
I definitely agree with that. And once again, shout out to Westbrook, who was the Wizards gave him a jersey for number 182, and he immediately got another triple-double right after that.
Yep.
So I guess they got to give him another jersey now. They kind of right? But shout out to Zach, who is a person I know always try to give every player their flowers, because that's what we're here for, to respect and honor the game and make sure we, shout out those players who's playing well. And I guess to kick it off, we're going to start with a Hooper of the Year, which I know is going to be a pretty tough debate topic because there's a lot of players been hooping this year, and throw in the injury factor and COVID to kind of come down to the last minute decision. But Nick, who you got for your Hooper of the Year?
I'm gonna say the Joker. I'm gonna say Nikola Jokic, and it's crazy because I've been just going back and forth throughout the season, like who was my favorite between him and Embiid. Just watching Embiid, have such a dominant season in Philadelphia. I was really leaning on him, but for Jokic to be available throughout this entire season for Denver and to put up the ridiculous numbers that he has put up, being that point center for the Nuggets, I think it's just remarkable. And, Denver, like even watching Denver, even without Jamal Murray, he went down, they've been really consistent, having Michael Porter Jr. step up and a few other attributes as well. I think Denver's going to be a really legit team going into the playoffs, and I think people should really look out for them. So, yeah, that's probably my Hooper of the Year is Nikola Jokic. But if not him, then I might have to say Julius Randle.
That's very interesting. That second one, Julius Randle, who has been leading the Knicks to their playoff appearance this year, had another triple double today. That makes number 6 on the season. Who you feeling for Hooper of the Year?
I'm sticking with the Joker. I'm kicking myself. I'm gonna see if I can find the tweet as a receipt. But I had a feeling he was gonna have an MVP year, like after he played in the bubble. And I chickened out and asked the question as a poll, like, what does Jokic have to do to be MVP this year? Because I felt like it sounded crazy, but he was consistent from the beginning. And let's remember, his roster was turned over. They let Plumlee walk. They let Grant wanted a bigger role. They lost Torian Craig, a great defender. They struggled early because of the chemistry issues. And then you had Michael Porter Jr. trying to get his feet wet. But the stats and the numbers were consistent. And I think he suffered for playing in the Mountain Time Zone and, Ben Joel and them playing in Philly, Eastern. Doc came over there and they was just expected always to do great things. So the microscope was always on him and Ben. So, but the Joker has been consistent from the beginning. And then once Embiid went out, he just really started to separate himself. And like I've been saying on my last couple podcasts, for me, it's not a lifetime achievement award. So I never consider LeBron when guys half his age are going hard every game. It's just, it makes sense. It's not me criticizing LeBron, but at 35, he's pacing himself. And I'm pretty sure, like I said, Lakers fans would rather have him for the playoffs and winning championships than burning himself out. So for me, it was always 3 guys, Jokic, Giannis, and Embiid. And then for me, I look at the record, the traditional stats, and the advanced stats. I know people like to criticize the advanced stats, but if you look at them, if we see top players in the top 10, then there's some validity to that stat. And if you go look at some of them, Jokic is up by like 3 or 4 or 5 points. Like he was dominating them consistently the same way we saw Giannis do last season. So shout out to Jokic. Let's enjoy this because he's revolutionizing the center post position, like literally right before our eyes. Let's enjoy this. So for me, I'm gonna give it to Nikola Jokic.
Yeah, I agree with you saying he revolutionizing the center position. As I like to say, he's putting up Wilt Chamberlain stats. Averaging game, assists a game. Only Wilt. So, Jelani, what about you, man?
Yeah, I made it 3 for 3. I went with the Joker as well. For everything that the guys just said, and I guess for me, I think I had Steven Austin on my show this past weekend, and one of the things that they always talk about that I always second as well is, the best availability is availability. And if he plays tomorrow, he's played 72 games. He's played the whole season. So to continue, putting up the numbers that he did with so much turnover, like Zach just said, losing 3 key rotational guys, and then having to kind of answer the bell, especially even with Jamal Murray going out, few months ago. Averaging a double-double could be almost a triple-double, 2 assists shy of that. So, I mean, like Zach said, I had the same top three as my hoopers or MVP candidates this year. And like I said, Joker kind of separated himself and has his team playing great basketball heading into the playoffs and as a top 4 seed in the West. So made it 3 for 3.
No, yeah, I definitely agree with that. And like he has been preaching Joker all year, even being a fan of Philly.
Mm-hmm.
Once you get into Wilt Chamberlain comparisons, you kind of running away with these awards, and that's where Joker's been at all year.
Right,
Yeah.
but and also I kind of felt he's gonna have a boost in the season too, because earlier in the season, if y'all remember, when we were first starting training camp, Jamal Murray said that Jokic was the best player in the league, and some people talking about.
Yep.
He showed up for him this year, so that's what's up.
He definitely did.
I mean, did y'all get that same feeling just watching them in the bubble? I just felt like you could just see sometimes on a player like, oh, he figured it out. And now he about to really take that next. Like, I really felt that way in that Lakers series. It was like one of those, like, yeah, he struggled a little bit, but he kind of answered the bell a little bit with the toughness. And they was just literally like 1/3 option away from winning some of them games. A lot of them games was really close. You know, a couple calls go their way. AD don't hit the game-winning shot. It could have been a different conversation. So I just thought he really kind of took his game to the next level in the bubble, and he just seemed like somebody that was going to keep it up.
Definitely. I think he even started in that first round against Rudy Gobert in that game 7, to where the game he was ineffective against Rudy in those other games, but game 7 he kind of put him on his back shoulders, and that was kind of the end of it. And you add that with his passing and his scoring ability, it's almost going to be tough to stop him over the next couple of years, honestly.
Yeah, for sure. And I figured the lowest, if y'all don't know, the lowest pick to win MVP so far is 15. 14. Steve Nash and Giannis. So if Jokic win it, he'll be the first second-round pick ever to win MVP.
Wow.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I did not know that. That's huge.
Phenomenal.
Man. Yeah, so that's dope. I think we all agree on Hooper of the Year.
Yeah, no, definitely. So the next award we got coming up is the Young Hooper of the Year. And I went with this because it seemed like after your rookie year, unless you're making all-star games or all NBA, you don't really get that praise to show how much you develop or how well you've been playing. That's why I wanted to go with rookies to the fourth-year players. So, Zach, who's your Young Hooper of the Year?
Man.
That's a tough one.
A lot of young guys hooping nowadays. Like instant.
It's crazy. It is, as we really don't know who the face of the franchise is. I mean, of the league is going to be. We could not ask for a better talent pool for the league. The league is loaded with young talent. I'm gonna just stay on my last podcast. I'm gonna give Trae Young some love, man. Like the narrative for him is so one-sided at times, man. Like it's crazy to me. And I've been critical of him. I have, but it was more so me just understanding what his ability was and just me wanting to see the growth. But the consistency with the numbers, they gave him a real roster this year. They getting healthy at the right time. Shout out to Lloyd Pierce getting that opportunity. I think he'll be better after this, but they bring in Nate McMillan, and he's just been the steady captain of the ship, man. And shout out to what he's doing. I'm gonna go Trae Young, because I mean it's easy to pick Luka, Tatum and those guys, but Trae Young is always, to me, the criticism is just a little bit too one-sided, which is kind of weird because he don't seem like you don't hear much about him. So I don't know where is it, always coming from, to be honest with you. So I'm gonna say Trae Young.
I think he almost getting that Steph after effect. He's the little guard. Most casual fans prefer the 6'8", 6'6", the bigger players. So being a smaller guard, and of course how he was drawing fouls early in the year will kind of turn people off to his game. But it's all part of the game, and he's great at it right now. And he's looking like he's gonna lead the Hawks for the next 5 to 10 years. Nick, who you got for your Young Hooper of the Year?
I know a lot of people may agree with me, may not, but I'm gonna go Jason Tatum. I know that may be like the traditional answer, but to me, just looking at Tatum each and every year, I just feel like he just finds another way to get better. You know what I'm saying? Not even as a scorer, but as a ball handler, as a contributor for his team, as a leader. Like I know the Celtics are a mess right now, and honestly, who knows what's gonna happen with them going into the playoffs. But for him to continue to be that number one option for the team, even have stepped up, like as Jaylen Brown has been hurt and as he's out for the rest of the year, Jason Tatum has just been remarkable this year. So that's going to be my favorite young guy, if I have to say.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And of course, he got the 60-point game this year, tying Larry Bird for the franchise high. And Jason Tatum, who I know he was talked about a lot as a rookie, he has slowly developed right in front of our eyes to being one of the better wings in the league, especially scoring-wise.
Right. And, of course, he was hit earlier this year by COVID himself and took him to get back in rhythm, and that kind of hurt Boston with him being out. But, he's 26 a game this year, and his fourth year in the league, third year in the league. Can't beat that. So, Jelani, who you got for your young?
Yeah, so for me as well, I went with, had to show our Atlanta Hawks some love. I went with Trae Young as well, just because I had to, unfortunately, leave him off of that third team All-NBA. So I had to figure out how to give him some love some way in this show. And like Zach says, it's really just been the growth in, his mentality, the way he sees the game. Because at first, when he first came in, score, lax on defense, wasn't really getting his teammates involved. He would put up the numbers, but it wasn't really, converting to wins. So this year, even early on, we struggled, 14-20 before we let Lloyd Pierce go. Sorry about that. We've seen him even early on. He did, take a step forward. There was rumblings with John Collins about, just basically getting more guys involved in the offense. And that's not just running through Trae. It was a bunch of noise and chatter in the NBA world, but they fought through all of that. Nate McMillan took a hold of the ship, and he's improved each and every step of the way. He's averaging like 26 and 9, something like that. And like I said, got his team somewhere where a lot of people didn't expect to get him when we drafted him. In the playoffs and within 3 years. So I feel like his game has grown tremendously. Like I said, I think a lot of the hate comes from the way he draws fouls, or just the way, he don't even carry himself a certain way. Like, he's not really cocky on the floor, but it's just, I think it's just, the way he draws fouls. But other than that, he's grown tremendously in the 3 years that I've seen him here, and hopefully he continues to push that forward through the playoffs as well. So that's my young couple for the year.
All right. And Trae is definitely going to be a player to look at, especially getting traded in that draft for Luka, and how Luka gets the praise. You don't really hear that praise for Trae as well, like you should.
Yeah, 28 double-doubles on the year too.
Right, exactly. Yeah, he's a double-double machine, and anybody else that gets traded for Luka, that's tough, because Luka's been in MVP type conversation. So Trae has held his own for that in that conversation to make it not seem like Atlanta made such a bad trade with that.
Yeah,
so,
definitely. And Nate McMillan was brought. Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say, I looked it up. They 26-11 with Nate, and they were 14-20 with Lloyd Pierce. So, and not to even be controversial on y'all pod, but I don't think it's fair to Trae, because they need Luka to be that white face. So like, he's gonna be pushed differently than than Trae, because they need that. So it's like, whoever that was, it was never gonna be fair, because that's what they need. And he's a white Euro face, so you're talking about overseas dollars as well. So it's a whole marketing money side to it as well. We can't forget the business side of it, because let's just be real. Dirk retired. You don't have one. There is no white superstar or star right now. There isn't. So they need that for the league. It is what it is.
Oh yeah, I definitely agree.
That's a great perspective to look at it at.
And that's why we got you guys on here, because you guys provide that kind of perspective. And like, I couldn't say it any better. I don't think anybody thought of it that way, but honestly, that is the simple truth. There hasn't been a white superstar since Dirk, and like say with that Euro money, that's a different type of money for us.
Money. Gotta keep them eyes.
But like I say, Nate McMillan was brought up a couple times, because he did help turn the Hawks around mid-season, which is why we can get into the next award, which is the Coach of the Year, which I think has been more important this year with how the season is, broken lineups, and getting certain matchups going out there. So, Nick, who you got for your Coach of the Year?
I'm gonna go Monty Williams. Honestly, this is an easy answer for me, because I know people want to give Chris Paul the praise. Chris Paul has done a tremendous job in Phoenix, but people got to remember Monty Williams has been doing this since last season. Honestly, if DeAndre Ayton never went down with those 25 games, or never got suspended those 25 games, honestly, like, you could consider Phoenix to possibly be like in a 7th and 8th seed. I mean, they were undefeated in the bubble last year, and even they've continued to elevate throughout this year, even with the leadership of Chris Paul. So, you got to give praise to Monty Williams, who has shown to be a tremendous coach, even throughout the years, even with his years in New Orleans per se. and he's definitely shown it this year in Phoenix.
Yeah, I definitely agree. DeAndre Ayton getting suspended for those 25 games last year really hurt their team for sure.
Yeah. So, Jelani, who you got for your coach of the year?
Yeah, so I actually had Monty Williams as well, but this past week, Steven opened up my eyes and made me change my pick. When we talked about it, I got Quinn Snyder, Utah Jazz. Pretty much talking through it, it just made perfect sense. It's like, all right, thinking back to last year when COVID even first popped off, he made me remember. Rudy Gobert taking it as a joke. Obviously, Donovan Mitchell ended up catching it. We heard so many rumblings of, basically they weren't talking to each other. It was they were just butting heads. Like they wasn't getting along pretty much because of that. And, it was even rumblings possibly one of them might have to get shipped out. But pretty much since then, that you really hadn't heard any really much else from that or about that. And coming into this new season, we wasn't really expecting to be, at the top number one. I know I had him around like 6, 7 when I first did my my predictions, but they 51-20 this year, number one in the West. Didn't really change have any crazy makeover change to their roster. Like they went in with the same guys, same mentality. They've been relatively healthy. You got 2 guys that can possibly be considered 6th man of the year. And Jordan Clarkson and Bogdanovich. So I just think it was an incredible job, by him to, one, keep that kind of under wraps once it was made a story, but not have it carry over into the next season to where it affected the team so heavily. And like I said, have him at number 1 in the West. So that's my coach of the year.
All right, Chris Snyder's done. He's been a good coach for a while now, and to finally get all that to pay off the hard work, he's gotten the most out of Mike Conley this year. Donovan Mitchell has definitely taken a step up.
Yeah.
Them bringing back Derek Favors helped solidify that bench as well. But like I say, he's gotten the most, I think, out of Jordan Clarkson, who probably is going to be named 6th man of the year.
Yeah.
So, Zach, who do you have for your coach of the year?
Quinn Snyder, and everything you just said, the Clarkson thing I thought was huge because they need offense. He's been so consistent there in Utah. A tough place to coach because you're not going to get the outside free agents like that. It's built internally. And what they have built there as a product. And it really came down to a coin flip. I agree with Nick with Monty Williams. Chris Paul gets his flowers. I think he's going to go down as one of the greatest winners. I was just looking it up. I mean, they're really like 4 or 5 points better this year. They went up offensive rating, defensive rating, like 2 or 3 or 4 spots on both sides. But it was a combination of things to Nick's point. Booker continuing his improvement to get Aiden back. Mikal Bridges has been unbelievable. Cam Johnson takes a step forward. You bring in a Crowder as a veteran. Now, late season, you bring in Torian Craig. So it was a coin flip. You can go either way. And I, again, salute to Monty, lost his wife and I believe a daughter in that situation. So for him to even come back and be coaching at this kind of level is impressive. But I gave the nod to Quinn. They had the better record. They were the number 1 offense, almost number 1 defense. So I gave it to Quinn Snyder as well.
No, like those two have been the best 2 teams this year from the get-go, honestly.
Yeah, from the jump.
Both teams have kind of got the imprint on it. Quinn Snyder and his defense in Utah, and Monty Williams and his offense in Phoenix. Right.
Yeah.
So it's definitely been a big year for both those teams. Hopefully they can continue that in the playoffs.
Right. So next, we're going to go with the microwave player that's coming off of the bench, initiating the offense, scoring defensively, whatever you look at as your microwave player of the year. So, Jelani, let's start with you. Who you got for your microwave player of the year?
I mean, staying, I guess, on the Jazz train, just because I looked at it, like I said, as the 6th man of the year award, Jordan Clarkson. I've watched him closely just because he's in our little off the ball fantasy basketball league, and I've had him, I had him on the bench early at first, and I was like, hold on, he taking off. So he's been in the starting lineup ever since. So I mean, to have that, like Zach said, have that consistent offensive weapon coming off the bench that is going to get you buckets. And even now with Donovan Mitchell, Mike Conley, they've been out of the lineup a lot of games this year for different injury reasons or whatever. Just having that consistent bucket, that consistent score, to come in and just get you points, and just really can't ask for much more. I forgot what his high was for this year, but think
He had a
like
40,
44, 45.
a 40 piece on Golden State the other night.
Yeah, that's what I was say. And another one the other night. So I mean, that's can't really ask for more. And it's incredible to see, all these Lakers that were these once Lakers, Randall, Clarkson, even Ball to an extent this year, bloom to what they've been this year. So just shout out to Jordan Clarkson. That's my microwave player of the year.
Yeah, man. R.I.P. to Kobe. Kobe's kids. Kobe's kids. Jordan Clarkson, Julius Randle. They were some of the players that was drafted under Kobe for sure. So, Nick, who you got for your microwave player?
I'm gonna have to agree. I'm gonna go with Jordan Clarkson. I'm glad he pointed out the whole Lakers statement, because I think people probably forgot that like Jordan Clarkson was doing this even with the Lakers. Maybe didn't get the recognition because the Lakers weren't in that position, but he's definitely been hooping since then. And throughout the season, he's been a great compliment to guys like Donovan Mitchell, to Mike Conley, to Joe Ingles, Gobert. The list goes on and on and on. And he's been consistent. He almost killed my Warriors the other night with that near dagger 3-pointer. But yeah, I mean, honestly, he's been cooking up all year and he hasn't really slowed down. So I mean, I think it's kind of non-debatable that he's going to be that microwave guy.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, he's really putting it all together this year, and I think playing this role for a successful team, top record in the league, is really letting him shine. So what about you, Zach? Who you got?
It's a clean sweep. It was literally like a match made in heaven. They needed offense. They needed a second scorer that can create. Me and my guy called them grenade shots. When it's the shot clock running down, you just throw the ball to him. You got to do something with it. Like they needed that. So when they overpaid a little bit, people were like, I'm like, nah, like that's smart. You're gonna overpay in certain markets, just like Charlotte overpaid for Gordon Hayward. It is what it is. So but also that Lakers thing, I kind of want to piggyback off Nick a little bit. I be trying to tell fans, look at your franchise and then look at the player. The Lakers did not have a developmental program. Like I know that just from talking to people. They did not have one in place, and they weren't going to have one in place because they were never seen as that type of franchise. They never took that serious. It's always we're going to try to sign the next big player because we're the Lakers. So what happened was you're drafting guys who had talent: D'Angelo Russell, Julius Randle, Brandon Ingram, Lonzo Ball, Jordan Clarkson, Kyle Kuzma. You drafting all these guys, but you're not developing. Then you're caught, like Nick said, Kobe's kids at the end trying to, with a legend. And it was just it was never going to be what people thought it was going to be. So I always try to tell people, before you criticize the player, look at that organization, for better, for worse, and see what's really going on. Because besides the superstar players, like that stuff matters. Organization and culture really matters. And even to the superstars, like they getting inducted tonight. What if KG goes to San Antonio and Duncan goes to Minnesota? Like how will we view so coaching and culture matters. Like people don't seem to understand that. So shout out to Clarkson for allowing him to go to a situation where they needed his services, and for Quinn Snyder to understand we might have to take an occasional bad shot with him. If I show confidence in him, I know big picture is going to all work out.
Yeah, definitely. And like to that point, the Lakers is kind of like the Yankees of basketball. Like you either come in good or you might get off to the wayside, honestly, because we're not developing you. You got to be ready to go from day one. You're not showing that potential. You're not gonna make it here past your rookie contract.
Right. Yeah. They got caught up in those weird years when the Lakers were chasing players and just couldn't get them. I remember them trying to sign LaMarcus Aldridge, and that didn't work out. And it was another player, but they were just chasing players, and they just were missing who they wanted to team with these guys. And it's at the end of Kobe's career. So yeah, they definitely look towards signing more than developing, and that's a major fact. And even just look at the history, like the pick on the Sacramento Kings, the history of them is, being a wasteland for players not wanting to go there because of the developmental system there. So that type of thing definitely matters.
Speaking of them, I mean, y'all in Atlanta, who killing for y'all right now? Where did he just come from? Sacramento.
Bogey.
And I was telling people, I'm like, he's nice.
True.
Y'all just ain't been watching them games. Like he is nice.
He was definitely doing this in Sacramento as well.
Yeah.
And like I say, they weren't watching.
Right, for sure.
So our next award is an award that I think has been debated heavily this year because a lot of players stepped up, even though a lot of fans wasn't expecting it. It is our surprise who put a year, or it's commonly known as the most improved player. And I think this is going to be one of the toughest awards to give out on here and in the NBA as well. So, Zach, who do you have for your surprise hooper of the year?
I gave it to Julius Randle because of the overall team success. I felt like the skill set was always there. We saw it in New Orleans. We even saw a little bit last year, but the continual improvement of his jump shot and his decision making. He was at, I wrote it down, almost 6 assists. 5.9 assists. So now you creating as well. And then when some other guys kind of got hurt and their records kind of took a step back a little bit, it was a little bit easier. So I went with Julius Randle.
Right. And I think his improving decision making is probably the biggest part of it, because that's one thing I was always a little critical on. Like, you just get the ball and go. He didn't really stop and think. Make plays all the time. He just basically tried to use his athleticism and his talent. Jelani, who do you have for your surprise hooper of the year?
Yeah, same here. At first, a lot of people kind of had, Jeremy Grant, the way he started out the season, the way he exploded onto the scene, we saw he had the talent, but for him to kind of go there first few games, all right, this is his team, but Detroit's not good. They're not, they're not on TV. No one's really playing them, and he's been hurt. So Julius Randle, again, I think that's I guess where the improvement came, because we've talked about this before, we've seen him put up these type of numbers, very close to these numbers, in New Orleans especially. But the decision making, finding the right spots, and of course the overall team success. You look at the roster, there's no big names, there's nobody that's gonna take you over the top and feel like, oh, they should be battling for the fourth spot in the East. But Julius Randle has been that consistent guy. Just put up another triple double or double double today, 40-point game, another triple double. Okay, 40-point triple double today. Averaging 24, 10, 6. Like I said, and has the guys. I'm hoping that we play him in the playoffs. I'm hoping they somehow squeak to 5 and we stay at 4. But so we kind of hush down the Knicks fans of the Off the Ball Network. But all in all, he can get the MIP Most Improved Player of the Year award from me.
I was just gonna say, to piggyback on y'all, it's cool to see how Thibodeau has let him play his game, but with structure to it.
Yep.
So, Nick, who you got for your surprise hooper of the year?
They basically said it. I don't even think it's debatable at this point of the season. It's Julius Randle. Not just as an individual player, but as a leader as well. Kind of what Zach said, just him becoming a better distributor, and his decision making has been just really on point this year. And also him as a shot creator as well. I don't know if it's the Tom Thibodeau effect, but he's really elevated his game to another level, even on the defensive end. Taking on that challenge to really get stops on that end of the floor. So just piggybacking off of what they said, I think it's not debatable that it's Julius Randle.
Yeah, I think it has a little bit to do with Thibodeau. Just as Thibodeau works well with players that work hard, Jimmy Butler, Derrick Rose, Noah finishing the top MVP voting with you, like say, dang. Thibodeau's good at letting players play their game. He's gonna give you the minutes.
Got question.
I'm sorry. I was gonna say Christian Wood too before he got hurt. Christian Wood, and even his stats. I think he finished almost 22-12 or something. So he was one that was hooping, and unfortunately he went down with the ankle, and then who knows what happened down there in Houston. I was very disappointed in him, but shout out to Julius Randle, and I forget every time. I know we just talked about it, but even Derrick Rose for 6 man. The Knicks have really been a great story this season, man. And it starts again with Julius Randle being the leader of that team.
Just piggybacking off of that Christian Wood thing. Honestly, people don't understand. Even last year, I know Detroit wasn't really a team people were watching, but he was doing this last year in Detroit when Blake Griffin was out of the lineup, and they were having a situation with Andre Drummond. So he's been doing this for a minute now.
Big time. I remember when he was playing every game he played the Hawks, and I was watching. I was like, "Who's this Christian Woods?" God, he destroying us every single game. So honestly, for guys, it's felt like even though with a shortened season with 10 games, it's felt like a long season in a way. It's felt like it's been 2 or 3 seasons in between. Because I forgot Christian Woods was hooping in the beginning of the year, and went down with that ankle injury and missed a bunch of time. So
got terrible.
Right? Yeah, because remember after they traded James, they kind of settled in with Christian. Then players running off. They won 8 in a row. Then they get hurt and they lose
20 in a row. Yep.
It's crazy. Just that quick. I think another player that has been that should be in consideration for this that I know a lot of people haven't been talking about because you don't really see it in his stats is Mikal Bridges, as you brought up a little while ago, Zach. I think his improvement on the wing, scoring and defensively is what's also helping Phoenix reaching the top of the league as well.
Yeah, for sure.
So this award is a fun one. Shout out to Ben Wallace who made the Hall of Fame this year.
Yeah, big print.
Expecting that year.
That's different.
I didn't know he made it.
Yeah,
Okay.
he did.
We were just talking about that. Congrats to Ben Wallace. That's
one of the greatest defenders ever. But it seemed like his Hall of Fame resume was kind of lacking a little bit. But we're here to give flowers, and so shout out to Ben Wallace for making it, who was the leader of those Detroit Pistons teams in the early 2000s. Yep. But for the Defender of the Year, who you thinking, Nick? I know you got an interesting pick for this already. Well, who you got for your Defender of the Year?
Oh man, you might have to come back to me on that one. Hang on.
All right,
I will come back to you.
Definitely. Zach, who you got for your Defender of the Year?
I'm sticking with Rudy Gobert, and to kind of even give Ben his flowers, because I remember when people were talking about Ben on Twitter, and I went back and looked it up. When you look at the advanced side of things, Ben is one of the most dominant defenders the league has ever seen. Like all the time, he's on a lot, like ranks very high, both playoffs and regular season. And same thing for Rudy Gobert. I mean, he's number one in blocks right now. I got it pulled up. Where is it? Yeah, he's number one in total blocks. He's number one in blocks per game. I mean, he's defensive rating. He's number one. Defensive win shares. He's number one. I mean, he's all over the place. His imprint. I was arguing with somebody, my guy, the Chuck, Bad Luck Chuck, and he was saying like he missing a lot of rotations this season, and he showed me like one play, and I'm like, bro, that's like one play. And I literally watched him recently do this several times. They had, I forget who they was playing, they had a 3-on-1 with him, and they dribbled around and did all this goofy stuff because they couldn't get a layup out, and they ended up like running because they just could not get none at the rim. And then against Golden State, they lost that game, but when he came back in that fourth quarter, that's how they got back in the game with Clarkson shot making. Golden State just could not get things at the rim. And I was even watching him the other night at Portland to see him that size because he's about 7'1". Right. And to play in this era in space, because I really believe that narrative of him getting shut down in the playoffs is overblown. Like he had one bad series, and that's kind of just been like the whole narrative. And it's so untrue. To watch him in that pick and roll, contest shots, get back at the rim. Guys look at him, don't even want to go at the rim. I'm just, I'm not one for voters fatigue. If somebody's been dominant, man, let's just keep rewarding. And he has the stats to back it up with the winning. I mean, so for me, it was Rudy again this year. So hopefully we'll see how that all shakes out, because I know Ben Simmons been kind of the sexy pick this year, and he's played well. But actually, Matisse Thybulle is higher on some of the advanced stats than Ben. So it's all in how you choose to slice it.
No, definitely Ben is definitely the sexy pick because he's the perimeter defender. You see him around different positions, whereas Rudy Gobert is, which kind of becoming underrated now in the game, is a great rim protector. So unless you're looking at the advanced stats, you don't always see it because you're not going to see 10 block games every night, 5 block games, but you don't really see how he affecting shots and changing shots and even changing passes, because you don't want to go to a lane with a defender like that, honestly. So
and I'll ask y'all here real quick, then even if you don't agree, how many teams have a 7-footer that's able to stay on the court in today's game? Like besides Jokic, that and I mean like Jokic and Embiid, they're the exception because they're so good offensively and Embiid defensively. But if you think about it, everybody else, they have to go small because their bigs can't keep up. So I just think for him, and when you look at it in context, I think all of it is impressive to me.
No, yeah, definitely, that's true. Like it's not as, because especially there's not many bigs anyway, 7-footers. So to have one that you can keep out on the court, because you're not even worried about him shooting free throws. Honestly, you never see him really get taken out of the game for free throws either. So that is impressive, honestly. So Nick, you ready to make your pick?
Yeah, I think I'm ready. I've been trying to juggle between so many players. Obviously, Ben Simmons, Matisse Thybulle, like Zach said. Even like nobody mentioned him, but even Miles Turner was having a good defensive season in Indiana before he got hurt. But I think I'm going to stick with Rudy Gobert, who gets a lot of disrespect around the NBA. But I mean, I'll have to agree with everything Zach said. I mean, Gobert's been rim protector, and he just continues to go at it like every single game. So yeah, that's probably who I'm going to have to pick. It was a hard decision because there's a lot of guys who have impacted the game tremendously on that end of the floor, but I'm gonna go with Gobert.
Yeah, man, it's not a bad pick. Like I say, his rim protection is underrated, but it's definitely felt throughout the game.
Right.
What about you, Jelani? Defensive player.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna sound like a Knicks fan trying to give all the awards to Hawks players. I feel like Clint Capella's had an underrated defensive year. Probably should be looked at top 5, but I went with Gobert as well, just because I guess is voter wise is gonna, like you said, I hate voter fatigue, but it's also gonna kind of come down to what do you value more, rim protection or on ball defense, and I feel like rim protection outweighs on ball tremendously, just because I've seen so many plays where you can take Ben off of out of the play by 2 screens, and just a guy that can score, that can move off the ball, or can move without the ball. So I feel like rim protection is just I guess in a way more important. Like Zach said, he's 1 in blocks per game. I think he might be behind Clint with rebounds, so he might be second in that category. But rim protection I feel is a little bit more important, and Gobert's continuously been that constant rim protector, like Zach also said, that you can keep on the floor. Like there's not too many bigs that you can kind of keep out there and they not be a liability on both ends. So that's clean sweep again. Go with Rudy Gobert.
Right, yeah, but to your point with picking Clint Capella, that wouldn't have been a bad pick, especially because a part of what goes into the defensive player is also those defensive rebounds.
Mm-hmm.
He's been a beast on the boards throughout the whole year, leading the NBA rebounds. It's like he had a 20 rebound, a 20 rebound game.
So many games we see double doubles in his 20, 22, 25. Ridiculous amount of number of rebounds.
And he's averaging about 15 rebounds a game, about 10 of them are defensively a night. So
yeah,
I think Rudy Gobert is definitely a really good pick. This will be his 3rd, correct?
Yeah.
Correct.
Is it 3rd in a row?
Yeah, 3 in a row.
3 in a row. I don't know if that's
Giannis won it last year.
Giannis won last year. I
Giannis
forgot.
last
Yeah.
year.
Giannis won last year. So
absolutely correct. Yep. So 3 out of 4.
Yeah, because he won it the year before Giannis did, which was weird because I thought Giannis should have won it that year that he won it, and I felt like AD should have won it last year. So it was kind of like we was a year late on some of these awards.
Which sometimes happens in the NBA a lot. I remember a lot of times. I think Kevin Garnett won MVP, and a lot of people thought it should have went to Jermaine O'Neal that year. So sometimes the NBA is a year late on rewarding their players.
Right. Yeah, for sure.
Well, now we got last but not least, we have all first team NBA, second team All NBA. So Zach, would you like to start us off with your first team All NBA?
First team actually was kind of easy until I got the small forward. I had Steph, Luka at the guards, Giannis at the 4, Jokic at the 5, and then I gave Tatum the small forward there at for the 3. And then the second team also was kind of easy. Dame Dollar, what he's been doing with Portland, the numbers is crazy. Randall and Gobert, and then for me, it was kind of a coin flip, but I awarded Devin Booker and Kawhi Leonard. Booker's numbers, I was surprised. Like I knew he was having a good season, but I just hadn't looked at his numbers. He's 25 points, almost 5 rebounds, 5 assists. Shooting percentage is great. True shooting percentage is high. So, I know they want to talk about Chris Paul for MVP and all this other stuff, but I mean, he got a nice running mate over there. So I rewarded Devin Booker. But again, those are my top 10 right there. And it's going to be so many guys, man. And, so don't beat me up. Don't say what the hell I'm talking about on Twitter or whatever, because I'm pretty sure I had some guys on the third team as well. But for those listening, like I said before the show, in good conscience, I couldn't put LeBron, AD, Harden, or KD on there. They just missed way too many games. And just so you guys know, LeBron was at 43, AD 34, Harden 43, KD 33. So, you playing less than 60%, about 60% in LeBron and Harden's case, and KD and AD was under 50. So that's as great as they are. We can't reward that with other guys having these kind of seasons.
No, definitely not. You got to reward the guys that's able to get on the court every night, or at least the majority of nights. And like I say, it wouldn't be fair to put LeBron and those guys on the list and missing all those games like that. So, Nick, who you have for your first and second team All NBA?
I'm kind of upset now because Zach mentioned him. I can't believe I forgot about him, Damian Lillard. But I'm gonna just name my original list that I sent to you guys. So I had obviously Steph at the point guard. I put Devin Booker at the 2. I actually put Giannis at the 3. I know a lot of people may switch him either 3 or 4. I put Julius Randle at the 4, and then I put the Joker at the 5. And then for my second team, I had Chris Paul at the 1. I put Donovan Mitchell at the 2. I put Kawhi at the 3. And I even added Luka at the 4. I know he's not technically a 4, but I added him in, and then I put Joel Embiid at the 5. It's a tough list. I mean, because like you said, I mean, you would want to go like each year like those guys like LeBron, KD, James Harden,
Right.
Kyrie per se, but I mean they have missed a lot of games. And, we haven't been able to see them contribute on the floor. And I mean, I feel like it would be really disrespectful to put those guys ahead of like the guys who have been available for the teams and have been putting up tremendous numbers. So yeah,
right. I respect that because that that shows that it's all about the game. Obviously, we love the star players, but the game is bigger than all of those players. So you got to recognize who we're watching play.
And that's how you make new star players, by giving those players their recognition. Those players. As I see, Nick, you did it with Devin Booker and Donovan Mitchell, and I don't think nobody's going to have them first and second team. But they've been the best. They've been the best guards on the best teams all year. So you have to at least consider both of them.
Yeah. Exactly.
And Jelani, who you got for your first and second team?
Yeah, same here. I don't have the typical big name just because availability is the best availability. So I took a little bit of advantage of the new position rule. I cheated, put Jokic and Embiid in my first team. So along with Steph, Dame, and I think put Giannis at the 3. Then second team, CP3. I don't know, just love that guy. I love the way he plays. I know, they already kind of had a formula for success over there, but I feel like he, kind of slid right in and elevated them as well. So I feel like he definitely deserves, one to either second or third team. Bill as well. I feel like he's had an incredible year number wise. I know he's missed the last few weeks. I think he's played 59 games. So I think for me, I was trying to look at guys, somewhere in like 55 and up or 60 and up games played. Put Luka at the 3, Zion just because the efficiency. I could have easily put Randall there. I think I wanted to put Randall there, but I was like Zion, just the efficiency, the way the numbers he was putting up in the year he was having to me. Even though in the losing effort because the Pelicans are trash this year, but I feel like he's the one bright spot on that team. And then Gobert finishing off at the center position.
I think Zion and Randall is going to be interesting picks because I think a lot of people are either going to have them flip flop like that. Either Randall's going to be on second team and Zion on third, or Zion's going to make second team and Randall's going to make third. Because Zion is putting up crazy numbers on crazy efficiency.
Like
70
something percent efficiency, like
the 7 assists.
Yeah,
it's going to be hard to keep that off. That's all NBA any other year with a losing team, honestly. So
I'm surprised no one had Zion for their young hooper. I thought he was going to be the one, like you say, 27, 61% from the field, and just watching him play. Sometimes Zion, and I'll admit, I think Zion, I won't say I'm not the biggest Zion fan. I just think you got to take advantage of his prime because that's just how it is with athletic players. We've seen it. But he looks unguardable at times with his strength, his speed. It's just crazy to watch for sure.
And speaking of Zion and the Pelicans won't be making a play-in tournament. Right. Well, at the end of the show.
Before we move on to the play-in, real quick though, I feel like Westbrook and Chris Paul kind of stole spots this year. Like Westbrook triple-double push got him on there, and I was like, where am I gonna put Donovan Mitchell? Yeah. Like it was just
that's fair.
And it's like, to your point though, you got me thinking we gotta make way for like the new stars as well. So it's like it's gonna be interesting to see which way these voters go, because I really feel like if Westbrook didn't make this push, then I don't think he makes it. And I had him third all NBA because of the record, and I had Embiid third because he only played 51 games. So, but yeah, I think those two veterans, two greats, I think stole a couple spots that might have been there for some of the younger players, like a Jaylen Brown, even that had a great season this year, is another guy to throw out there as well.
Yeah, definitely. The guard spot is always going to be the hardest to pick, because those two positions, it could be anybody any year. We've seen Dame and Steph flip-flop at the point, which will leave Westbrook on the third team for not making it. We've seen Kemba make it over Bradley Beal. It's just that guard spot and that wing spot are always going to be the hard spots to pick for. like every year, because those are probably easily the best two filled out positions right now in the league.
Yeah.
And Kyrie.
Oh yeah,
Kyrie played 52 games. He was almost 50, 40, 90 this year, averaging. I wrote it down. 27 on 61% true shooting. So it's crazy. Like
it's too much talent, man.
Yeah, it's so much talent.
Yes, it's definitely a lot of talent. That's crazy when you think about it. I don't think Kyrie is gonna get mentioned for all NBA.
Yeah, right. And that you can average it's possibly gonna be two players averaging 27 this year. Like you say, 61% true shooting percentage and 61% from the field from Zion. And it might not even be all NBA.
That's crazy. Yeah. That's because with Kyrie, we caught off the court stuff.
Yeah.
Like even his press conference today made Twitter headlines. So we'll see how all this shakes out with him, man. You know, it's unfortunate because I think whether you agree with his views or not, at the end of the day, it shouldn't be judging how we see his basketball game. Like we here to watch him play basketball. Like it's such a weird space we in right now in the media world.
Definitely, because it gets a little personal sometimes when it shouldn't. Like a lot of stuff, leave it alone. You don't have to, like you said, you don't have to agree with him. You don't have to necessarily like what he's saying, but that's his personal space and his opinions on things. Right. But like I say, into the preview of the play-in tournament.
Well, hold on, before we changed it. We're not calling it the play-in tournament.
Absolutely right. Thank you for correcting. We're calling it the wild card tournament.
I like it.
You know, it makes it sound like it's, you know, a little more important than what is being played off as.
People don't like the play-in because the play-in doesn't sound like it's a part of the playoffs, but it is a part of the playoffs. Just like the college basketball, they have the +1 part of the NCAA. It's all a part of the playoffs now. So the wild card makes it sound better.
Right there. So all the games are basically set except for Portland and the Lakers, who are still fighting for that 6-7 spot, basically. We have Washington, Indiana, and the Celtics and the Hornets still.
Yeah, Hornets.
And in the East, and in the West, we have Lakers or Portland against the Warriors and Memphis and San Antonio. Starting to the East real quick. Which one of those two matchups y'all looking forward to? Indiana and Washington or Charlotte and Boston? We'll start with Nick.
I'm going to say Charlotte and Boston. I mean, in all honesty, kind of like I said earlier, Boston's been a mess this year. Honestly, I think it's surprising to many that they're even in this position. True. And to me, I don't know what it is. They just haven't really seemed to capitalize off of like anything that they've done all season. So they might be in some trouble, like going into this game, going up against a young Charlotte team who was energized, who was motivated. LaMelo Ball is back. Miles Bridges just came back. So yeah, Boston might be in trouble. Honestly, Charlotte's got a good team right there. You gotta give credit to Coach Borrego for the job that he's done. So honestly, I think that's going to be a game that's going to be interesting to see.
Yeah, I've gained so much respect for Terry Rozier this year because I remember his situation in Boston, and I didn't really know, like he had bad shooting percentages. You know, he never really got 40%. And just keeping real, I didn't know what type of player he was going to be, and he's definitely opened my eyes to respect him. I always respected his game, but I got a different level of respect to Rozier, so I like that.
Well, Zach, which one of these matchups you feeling a little more? Indiana, Washington, or Boston and Charlotte? Not
really feeling both of them, to be honest with you, because Boston's not healthy. I don't know if Haywood. They saying he should play, but he's been out, so they not really healthy. Indiana not healthy, but I kind of want to see Westbrook keep going. But I also want to see this Boston kind of dumpster fire fall out, you know, because I've been saying since the beginning of the season, before they go into off season, I said trade Marcus Smart, reset your culture. He's your most valuable piece. Nobody's taking Kemba's contract. You don't want to give up Jaylen Brown and Tatum, but people think they just gonna flip coaches. And I'm like, yeah, Brad Stevens might be a little bit overrated, but then who are you replacing him with? You know, so I don't know. I if I had to pick, I'm gonna say, because I love the young fella, I want to see Charlotte. I want to see LaMelo do his thing. Shouts out to him, man. I'm proud of him like I know him, man, because the criticism he got coming into the draft was insane to me for a 19-year-old. You know, I will always argue is through the lens of nobody likes his father instead of actually watching the game. And it was even getting insulting how they was trying to downplay the Australian league. I know buddies that played I got guys that played in the Australian league. It's a great league. You know, I wish I could have got over there and got a bag. The weather's beautiful. The fans love you. You know what I mean? So, you know, to see him come through and kind of show everybody what we thought he could have, like he was going to be, I thought it's been incredible. So I want to kind of see them run and see how it goes. And maybe Haywood gets healthy and they shock some people, you know. I wouldn't want to play them. And I thought to your point too, that they was auditioning Terry Rozier to trade him early on. And then Devontae Graham goes down, and now it's like, no, we got to figure out how to get Terry these minutes, and he become like they main go-to player down the stretch. So yeah, if I had to pick, I'm gonna say Charlotte and Boston.
Yeah, this could be a good thing for Charlotte because you know, tasting some early playoff success for a young team, building culture. Like I said, they can get Gordon Hayward back. He would definitely help with some defense and some scoring and moving the ball as well. So that could be a really big game for Charlotte if they can get this win. You know, Jelani, how about you? Which one of these two games you really looking forward to?
I mean, I'm just like with Zach. I really don't want to watch these games, and especially with the teams not really at full strength. With the Celtics, it's a sad thing to see. You know, kind of how they're, you know, just kind of diminished away. Like I said, losing Jaylen Brown for the year. Jason Tatum might have to put up 60 both games, especially if they lose the first one, which I feel like they're going to lose against this Charlotte team, especially if Gordon Hayward is able to come back and play. Even if he's not able to come back and play, they're young, they're aggressive. They play on both ends of the floor. Like they really play well together. So I think they're going to be in trouble. Then they have to match up with the Washington Wizards or Indiana. Indiana's been playing really well. Even they beat us, you know, last week or 2 weeks ago. Karis LeVert has been, ever since he's been back in the lineup, he's been playing lights out. Sabonis, we know he's a constant as well. So I don't know. I'm not really. I would have to say the one I'm most excited to see is, you know, Boston and Charlotte. But I don't know. I just know it's gonna be crazy when Charlotte does make the playoffs. All these news outlets, all we're gonna see is them have camera on LaMelo. First round matchup. Whether it's against, you know, Brooklyn or the 76ers, it's going to be entertaining. But yeah, I would have to go with Boston and the Charlotte.
I want to see Charlotte for one more reason. I want to see their announcers get to call some plays in the play.
Yeah, they got their announcers. Dope. I just wanted to piggyback when Zach brought up Marcus Smart. We actually just having a conversation off camera the other day about what does Boston do, and Marcus Smart does, because I personally said Jason Tatum is the one person, he's not going nowhere at all. I don't think they're going to trade Jaylen Brown, but I know for a fact they're not going to trade Jason Tatum. So if you really do want to keep those two young all-stars, Marcus Smart is kind of the only thing you can get rid of. So another point about LaMelo in the Australian league, like I have homies that played in that league too. Shout out Travis Leslie, he played over there, and it's tough. Like, the NBL is tough. Like they play for real. They got guys that have played in the NBA or can play in the NBA. The culture is tough, and like you say, it's a beautiful city. It's beautiful women there. They love basketball. Australia is dope. So that's it's good basketball in Australia.
And moving over to the Western Conference wild card games, we have, let's say, San Antonio and Memphis, and possibly Lakers and Golden State, or Portland and Golden State. Let's start with the latter with Golden State and their potential matchup with the Lakers or Portland. Which one do y'all want to see the Golden State play more, the Lakers or Portland? I think both of them will be great matchups with some different stories in there as well. Yeah. Let's start with you, Zach.
I would love to see them play the Lakers from this. If you're a Steph fan, from the perspective, like if he beats LeBron, like I don't know what Shannon might explode on TV if they. And so then at that point, what can you say about Steph? But then if you're a Dame fan, I would love to see Dame match up with Steph and go ahead and do that as well. Both of them healthy, mano, you know, no stack team, how people choose to view it, however, you know.
Right.
So I don't know. I think they all would be great matchups. I think, though, if you're the Lakers, you probably want Golden State. I don't think you want Portland. Portland has more weapons than Golden State. Really, you're trying to just keep Steph from getting hot. And I don't know about the Lakers this year. Chemistry matters. Yeah. I don't care how great they are. Like, you got to play some games together. It really, really matters. So, I don't know. For me, it's a coin flip on that one because I think the storylines can go either way. And I think this one will be great basketball for different reasons. So that'll be my take on either one of those matchups.
I think this is one of the things. If Dame gets this game, Portland gets Warriors, he kind of needs this win against Steph in the playoffs.
Yeah.
He needs to win against Steph in the playoff situation.
Yep.
So, Nick, which teams are you feeling in that matchup? Portland, Golden State, or Golden State and the Lakers?
I'm gonna say Golden State and the Lakers. I know that's gonna be like huge for TV and everything, for ratings, for everything. LeBron versus Steph, but I honestly think that it'll be a really good match. I mean, kind of like what Zach said. I mean, the Lakers, they're having their chemistry issues, so we don't really know what we're gonna see from them. Steph and the Warriors also have had their inconsistencies. We don't know what to expect from them as well. So I think it's gonna be a really good matchup. To be honest, man, I mean, like I said, I mean, we don't really know what to see from both teams. But honestly, the Lakers and Warriors, I mean, that's going to be good for TV, basically. So, yeah, that's probably the game that you will probably anticipate the most.
Right. No, yeah, that's definitely going to, and of course, they try to make back as much TV money as they can. So, if you can get that matchup early on in the playoff situation, it'll definitely help with that. Jelani, which one of those matchups you feeling a little more?
I guess I'm feeling Lake. I don't know. It'd be tough. I think all three are gonna be solid games. What I'm feeling for the Lakers just need to figure out a way to get to the 7th seed. Because I feel like that's the easiest route for them to possibly get back and repeat. But I mean, I think I'm gonna change my answer. I think I want to see Dame versus Steph. I just got to see that 30 plus shootout. And honestly, like I like to see that. Like, so with Trailblazers, we been hearing Terry Stotts might be out at the end of the season if they lose or find a way to not be in the playoffs at all. More than likely, that's for sure a definite that's going to happen. But like you guys were saying, I think Dame needs some type of win, some type of success against Steph in the playoffs. And I know I feel like it would be a great game, great matchup. With Golden State, they've been kind of an anomaly all year. They're up and down. We know Steph has been the constant. Some games they're playing really well. I think with the other night, Wiggins put up like 38, something like that. And other nights they just play god awful. And just Steph is really the only guy on the court, making some noise. So I don't know. I think that's the matchup I want to see. Like I said, for the Lakers' sake, I just think they need to figure out a way to get to the 7th spot or stay in the 7th spot. Obviously, it would be, in the play-in game, they win the first game, they're in the 7th spot. But that's what I think.
Right. I kind of I feel kind of differently about the Lakers in this sense. I think they actually should want the 8th seed, because if I was them, I would want to avoid the Clippers and stay at 3rd, because they just have the most veteran type of players. I think the Lakers feel comfortable playing Utah. I think they will feel comfortable playing even Denver.
I just realized that's why I said that. I just realized that Phoenix, I ain't been keeping up with them. They lost the last few games, so they're now in the 2nd spot. So yeah, you're right. I think they do need that 8th spot. The matchup with Utah is what they need. Like wherever
Yeah, so that I think they would feel comfortable in that. And before we get out of here, I want to end it asking you guys, what do you think about the Lakers? I think they were 2nd, and Las Vegas is, because obviously you put the Lakers as a lower chance to win. Everybody gonna bet with the Lakers, but they were 2nd in the favorites to kind of make it out of the final. So I'm gonna start with you, Jelani. What do you think is realistically the Lakers' chance to get to the final out of the wild card?
Like I said, in the 8th spot, it looks more promising, but it's still going to be a tough road. I mean, if I had to put percentage on it, and it still might be too hefty. Like, I give them like a 40% chance to get back and repeat. Just because, like Zach said, you need some type of chemistry. Like, yes, LeBron is still considered one of the greatest players in the world, but he's coming off an ankle injury. He's been saying he's not ever going to be at 100%. Whatever. That's not something I want to hear from him personally. Like, you shouldn't be saying that. But all in all, like he's hurt. AD's pretty fragile. Dennis has missed a lot of time with COVID and protocols. Like, you've got guys that have stepped up. THT. Caruso a little bit while he was out. Kuzma has had big games, but all in all, you need chemistry, and it's hard to try to find that chemistry when you're playing in the playoffs and every game matters, and you're playing against teams that obviously have earned their spots to be where they are. Like, you can't be coming in, as an AFC playing Utah, who's won 50 games out of 72 game season and kind of expect to walk all over them. So, like I said, if I had to put a percentage on it, 40%, but it may be even slimmer than that.
Yeah. What about you, Nick? What chance you give the Lakers of coming out of the wild card and repeating?
I'm gonna say I'll give them possibly like a 45% chance. I mean, obviously, you obviously still have LeBron and AD, but I mean, kind of like what both of them said. I mean, chemistry does matter. So will the Lakers be able to turn it around? Possibly if they do get past the play-in tournament and get prepared for that potential first-round matchup, depending on whoever they play. Like, will they be able to turn around? I do think that they can possibly have a shot at beating Utah. Say per se that Donovan Mitchell doesn't come back 100%. But going forward, do you see them possibly getting out of the second round and going forward then? I just feel like that'll be a problem for the Lakers. So I don't really see the Lakers going back to the finals, but then again, there may be a possibility that anything can happen.
Yeah. Definitely. Can't bet against LeBron. What about you? What chance you get the Lakers to come out of that wild card and making a run?
60% because of LeBron's greatness, but I didn't like their moves at the beginning of the season. I thought the team was better last year. The only move I liked was Schroeder. Younger guy, can still score it. They needed that boost of energy, but Gasol didn't play well in Toronto last year. They basically rested him the whole season. He played spot minutes in the playoffs. He was in Spain. So, we just reading the back of jerseys. You let Dwight Howard, walk. You let McGee walk. I just didn't feel like they made any solid moves. And LeBron got older. So I was just, as a Lakers fan, you're basically saying Caruso, Taylor Horton Tucker, shout out Chicago, and I like KCP. I think he's their most important player. When he plays well, they usually play well. And Kuzma, that's what you're saying. And Schroeder has been out sick. He's actually had it. And we hear about how it attacks the respiratory for some people. Jason Tatum has been reported to use an inhaler off and on. So what is his legs going to be like? It's just not the best situation. And somebody told me I was capping for Laker fans. And I was like, the last thing I don't cap for anybody. My model. I'm just keeping it real. They had injuries. It was just it's already hard to repeat, period. That's one of the hardest things to do. But then you do it with all these injuries, people getting sick. And then I thought the Clippers had a better offseason. That was the best LA. So I'm going to give him a 60% chance because I respect LeBron's greatness. I agree also with Jelani. I think he was kind of already doing what he does sometimes with this built-in excuse stuff. You don't tell nobody you're not going to be 100%. Who says this kind of stuff? And then LeBron fans and him wonder why people don't like him on certain things or want to lean more towards Jordan, because regardless of how you slice their games, you just didn't hear him say things like that. You just didn't hear that. So, I feel like it's kind of interesting, how that soap opera is played out. Now he don't like the play-in game. Yeah, because you win it. But when y'all was the second seed, everything was gravy. Now you don't like it, so I still respect them, still respect the legend. I'm going to give him 60%.
Definitely. Like you say, you have to kind of give them that high of a chance when you have LeBron on your team, and hopefully AD can be healthy right along with him, and maybe they go on a run and be the first wild card team in NBA history. Maybe they just do it. 36-year-old LeBron James on a bad ankle.
I hope they don't, because then we'll be defending how the league ain't rigged. Because if they do it it's rigged. They want LeBron to win.
That's definitely going to be
right.
Then why watch the games then? I could already see it, man. So yeah, for real.
Yeah, definitely. You got a point. That's where we gonna be talking about how the NBA not rigged for at least another 10 years. It's LeBron and the Lakers. I think if it was one or the other, but it's both combined. Yeah, that's gonna be a topic every other week for the next. But once again, thanks for everybody joining us. Thanks for all you guys coming, giving us your opinions and perspective. It was a great show. Guess do some outros now. Nick, you want to tell the people they can find you at?
Follow me on Twitter at Nick Andre ATR. As y'all know, I'm a basketball writer / analyst, covering everything from high school to the pros. So yeah, just look out for whatever I got next.
Definitely always that. And he's a good writer, man. You gotta check out his articles.
I'm definitely looking forward to that. So Simone Augustus is real life my favorite. She's one of my favorite players. So
definitely.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that too, man. One of the best handles, period. Like male, female,
Yeah.
period. One of the best handles we ever seen.
Jumper, like
Right.
yeah, all that.
All
Zach, to let people know where they can find you at.
Everything is the Off the Glass podcast. If you follow me on Twitter, Zach at the Off the Glass. Instagram is Zach the Off the Glass podcast. Finally got my link tree together, so like literally all my links is over there to the podcast that can be found over there. I'm not going to do a show this week, so go back, check out some of my last content. It's for all your Atlanta folk. I compared Nate Archibald, Tiny Archibald to Trey Young. So that was something I kind of been sitting on for. I've been sitting on that one for about a year. I had that in my back pocket for about a year, just trying to figure out how to bust that out. So go ahead, check that out. You know, I got the store up, so copy some merch. I got my hat on, and I got on my Build a Legacy, Not Excuses shirts. So, you know, go ahead, check the store out, man. Get y'all some gear, man. Appreciate y'all having me. These, you know what? And I love doing shows with other people, man. And the fact that you guys rock with me and support me, share my content, man. Like, you know, so anytime you want to have me on, man, I'm here. I appreciate the support. So thank you.
No, I definitely appreciate you again for coming on and doing this with us.
Yeah, I got two things that I definitely appreciate that Nate Archibald. He's still the only player leading assists and scoring for a season. Nate was a different type of player. And I definitely appreciate your perspective and everything you put out there. I follow your part a lot, so for sure.
Thank you.
Same here.
Yeah.
And Jelani, you want to go ahead and let the people know where they can find you at?
Yes, sir. I kind of want to say the same thing. Like, you know, it's always a pleasure to be on with you guys, you know, the Hoopers, our Atlanta Fly Through shows and everything. But definitely love, you know, collaborating with other guys. I always see, you know, Nick and Zach stuff all on my TL. Cause I'm glad I follow you guys. I'm always listening, always, you know, just in tune with you guys are putting out. So definitely I'm glad to be able to be on with you guys today and speak with y'all. But, you know, that's just the beauty of this, being able to, you know, network and connect and talk to other like minds in the basketball world. So appreciate the Hoopers for, you know, making this happen. I'm glad to be a part of this, you know, inaugural, you know, Hoopers Award. But my name is Jelani Brown. You can follow me right there at WTG MTM Podcast on you know, Twitter. What the Game Means to Me on Instagram and Facebook as well. Hoopers, I know we're going to do Atlanta Fly Through show right before the playoffs kick off. Edgar, I see you in the chat a little bit. Bring on the Knicks, bring on the Heat, whoever comes, we ready. Second round is we stamping that. So again, appreciate y'all.
Yeah, definitely appreciate you, Jelani. The fly throughs have been the dopest thing about this season this year. So it was for sure cool to get you. You know, glad we could get you on here.
Of course,
that's for sure.
Other than that, of course, as I always like to say now, we are the new mainstream media. So y'all might want to get more in tune to what we're doing around here. Not just us, but that goes for Zach Off the Glass, his family over at 256 Media, Nick with his writing, Jelani covering the Falcons. All things Atlanta, honestly, Falcons, Braves, Hawks. But you want to go ahead and get us up out of here how you usually do?
Yeah, you already know. We appreciate all the viewers, everyone that's listening. You know, you can find us every Friday on the Off the Ball Network's Facebook page, on Hoopers YouTube page, and on our Twitter page for the Hoopers Morning Run, 9 a.m. And then, you know, you also can catch us every Monday and Friday on Nothing But Net Radio through the Dash Radio app at 8 p.m. You can catch us for the Hoopers Hour, and we everywhere podcasts are available: Apple, Spotify, we're on iHeartRadio, we're on Pandora. So just search the Hoopers Pod, and just a lot more dope content to come for sure. So just look out for all of that.
And fellas, once again, appreciate you guys being on here and giving us.
Appreciate y'all.
Appreciate y'all, man.
You know, of course, I'm John W.
It's Fresh X.
And this was the Honorary Hoopers Awards.
Later, players.